Hey everybody, Will Gully with the Recruiting Lounge here. I want to talk a little bit about some of the problems that schools are having right now. This is real things that are happening on campuses all around the United States. The first problem that schools are having right now, that's probably the biggest one, has to do with collectives. A lot of schools have multiple collectives, okay? And in some states where the laws are a little bit more open, there's some challenges there from the school's perspective with working with their collectives. Okay, so one challenge is that the collectives have kind of competing interests, right? So, really, if you have schools that have multiple collectives, it's really they don't necessarily get along, right? Now they're competing against each other to do deals to bring in money for their specific collective for their desires. Now, one collective might be saying, hey, we want to do, we want our money to go and work, we want our student athletes to go work with nonprofits in the area. Great. The other collective might say, hey, no, we want our students to be able to go and do things with local businesses in the area. Okay. Both of those are fine until the student athlete is put in the middle and having to choose, do I go business or do I go nonprofit? Which one's better, all right? And now the collectives are now arguing over that. Which one they come out, which one do they work with, okay? Now, another thing that happens with schools that have multiple collectives is that the collectives are, I wouldn't say they're bending the rules, but they're playing a little bit outside the lines because they're boosters, right? The NCAA is declared and certified and whatever that they are booster organizations. And so they are not allowed to talk to prospective student athletes. I'll say this, what we've seen is that those collective organizations and the donors and the sponsors behind them have relationships with coaches. So when a coach is talking to, and rightly so, we've built this industry based on donors having relationships, having access to the coaches, having access to the administrators. That's how this world is kind of built, and they build these relationships and they get access for it, right? So you have situations where the donor is having a conversation with the coach, and the coach is saying, hey, we got this kid, he's coming in, he's going to be perfect for our program, and we're gonna go like this, but we're competing against this other school. The other school is pretty big on him, and I think if we could do X, Y, or Z, I'm trying to figure out how we could do it. And the coaches are not allowed to talk to, are at a distance from their collective, right? They're talking to a donor now. I really hope we're gonna get him. Okay. Now the donor goes back to his collective and said, hey man, they're talking about this kid. It's a 5-star coming out of X, Y, and Z. We're competing against this. We got to figure out how do we get him? We got to figure out what we can do, right? And they're kind of operating on the outside of the line, right? And so now we've got a name. We can go on the message boards. We can go on ESPN, recruit, and all that kind of stuff, and we can kind of track down. Donors can track down who they're talking about. Boom, nail him. Got it. Oh yeah, let me get on social media. Hey, I'm not the collective, I'm the donor. Hey, I heard you're looking at coming to X, Y, and Z school. Love to talk to you, hey, we got a good program, good organization, and the collective is really, really, really profitable. Right? Operating outside the lines. Okay? So the collectives are doing things a little bit, in a gray area. And not all of them. I'm casting a wide net, of course. Not all of them. A lot of them are doing the right things, and they're operating under the right method. But some are a little bit outside the lines. Okay, and so when you get to the place of, some of the challenges that schools are having with the collectives, the NCAA has just said you are assumed guilty and will have to prove your innocence if a collective is found talking to a prospective student athlete that has not, a prospective student athlete is one that has not signed the national letter of intent. You are presumed guilty, and you as a school, not the collective, the school will have to prove yourself innocent. Right? So the NCAA enforcement, I don't know how they're going to track it. God, I don't know. But they can look back at that social media account and they can say, hey, there's some inappropriate activity here. We don't like it. We got to change it. Got to change it up. You got to fashion on a penalty. The penalty is going to go on the school, not the collective. Ain't that something? Okay? So it's really important for the collectives to be in touch with the school so that the school so that the school can kind of help guide things and be in the know on things, right? It's just weird land because the schools are not supposed to connect with the collective. They're supposed to be at arm's length. But they have to be connected because if the collective does something wrong, the school's going to get penalized for it. What? Wait a second. If I were to tell you that you have your sister and your brother and you guys have separate rooms, but you share bunk beds. I want you guys to leave each other alone. Don't go to each other. Don't bother each other. Go to the room. The kids are like, wait, we got bunk beds. Of course we're gonna see each other. We're gonna mess around. We're like, what are you talking about? Ain't that weird? The NCAA is basically saying, hey, school, collective, stop talking to each other. Go to your bunk beds. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Because if the collective does something wrong, the school's going to account for it. They can't get separated. So anyway, I'll just say that's one big problem that's challenging to schools right now in the collective space. The best ones are the ones that have good relationships. The schools are the ones that have good relationships with the collective, where the collective is telling the school, like, hey, we want to do a shoot with these football players. We've got the American Heart Association behind it. What do you like? We want to do it. The collective that's run by not by a donor, but it's managed by somebody else, by a business developer, by a development office or something like that. Like those are the ones that are doing what, right? The ones that are run by donors, a little bit more risky. All right, that's all. So may your day be filled with moments of grace, mercy, joy, and love. Bye now.